Welcome to the second hour of the Jennifer and Wendy Show. And as per usual, we're taking a sharp left turn and moving from sous vide. And thank you for all your comments about that to sleep divorce. And the Royal Banks of Missouri text line is open at 84126. Jennifer Hargrave is a compassionate family law attorney, and she has actually seen many marriages end because of snoring. So Jennifer joins us now to talk about how a sleep divorce could save your marriage. Jennifer, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure to be here.
You have seen this, HUD, marriages that end in divorce because of snoring?
Well, all right. Listen, I'm not sure. People don't come in and say, I want a divorce because my spouse is snoring, although there may be probably thousands of people who think that. But usually what happens is that they move into the separate room, right, and they start living separate lives. And it really is symptomatic of a breakdown in the marriage. But, yes, I mean, I certainly do see lots of couples who come into my office and they have been sleeping apart from their spouse for a whole variety of reasons. I'm sure one of those that led to it was the snoring problem.
And it's really interesting because there are so many different devices, aren't there, Jennifer, today that can help at least reduce the noise in the bedroom if you have a snorer, but it's still something that keeps people from getting a good night's sleep, I suppose.
Right. I mean, I think it's one of the things that can really irritate people. You know, when you're not getting sleep, you're not in your best coping headspace, and different sleep patterns can really cause problems. So snoring is definitely one of those. And yeah, there are all kinds of devices. There's the nose strips, there's the mouth guards, there's the CPAP machines, and a whole host of aids available to help. But it's not just snoring, right? I mean, it's somebody likes to sleep hot, somebody likes to sleep cold, somebody is an early morning riser, somebody is a late night owl. And so, you get these differences in sleep patterns. And I think for some people, they just say, you know what, let's just sleep in separate rooms.
Well, we've seen more and more news stories about houses on the market where there are his and her bedrooms. And CBS Sunday Morning recently profiled a couple, happily married, but they slept in separate rooms and gave all of the reasons. And, I mean, the sleep problem seems better than, for instance, selective hearing.
Right.
I'm sure as a divorce attorney, you're familiar with this, Jennifer?
Sure. Yes, of course. Also, yes, as the wife of a middle-aged man myself. Yeah, no, it is definitely, something to be aware of. I think people can sleep in separate rooms, and it can be a really constructive, healthy thing. I mean, I don't think the fact that you're sleeping in separate rooms indicates you're going to get a divorce, but I think you have to be really intentional about how you have the conversation, how you approach your spouse, and that you're making time for connection, right? I mean, I think the biggest problem I see in marriages is where people, they just stop communicating. They stop carving out time for intimacy. They stop, connecting and living a connected life together. And, it just gets to the point where they're like, why am I still married to this person?
Oh.
So I think if you're intentional about it, it can be a really healthy thing to set up separate living quarters.
That's such a great point, that you can have a marriage that is not in perhaps its best shape, but people sleeping in the same bed.
Yes.
If this is going to help, and it might make things a little spicy.
Exactly. I mean, you're actually planning your intimacy in ways that, maybe you're not just falling into the rut, the routine. So,
right.
Yeah, it can definitely make things spicy. I mean, I'm all for that.
And Jennifer, from your vantage point as a divorce attorney, when you look around at your friends or just people that you know, in your mind, what makes for a healthy marriage? You look at them and say, they're doing well.
I love that question, and I'm blessed and fortunate to be surrounded by people who are in healthy marriages. I think that that camaraderie, the connection, they're really accepting each other. At some point, you stop trying to change the other person. I think that's hard in the early years of marriage. I think a lot, what the adage about women wanting to change the men and the men hoping that the women will never change. But, when we can finally just really accept our partner and live into that life together, it's a really beautiful thing. And, I'm all for that. One of the things I talk with people a lot when they come in, and they're contemplating a divorce, a lot of times people aren't sure they're ready to do that yet. And, we've got great tools and resources available to help, people maybe do discernment counseling is a type of therapy that really helps them, figure out, is divorce the right thing? And we love it when people end up not needing our services. It's a great day for us.
Jennifer, can you tell if people, because we've read so much, and I think in large part it sort of started with Al and Tipper Gore, former Vice President Al Gore and his wife Tipper, they divorced after 40 plus years of marriage.
That surprises me when that happens.
Yeah, it's the gray divorce. And I wonder, as an attorney who clearly is obviously also a social scientist, I mean, you know what you're looking at when you see it. Do you ever just advise people to take a break, that you are both maybe aging, you don't feel as well as, that you're about to make a decision? Or is that even acceptable for an attorney to offer that kind of advice?
Oh, I want to make sure that my clients are making the very best decisions, and I'm not the therapist. I'm not the one who's trained to help them through that, but I could certainly have great resources. Yeah, I think divorce a couple of things. It shouldn't be a decision that's made in the heat of the moment. Often it's not. Often it's something that's been festering for a really long time. I think people live with the pain of that decision for years before they actually decide to do something about it. And then the other point that I was going to make is that it should also never come as a surprise, right, to the other person. And so and that's where I think it could be so helpful to bring in a really trained therapist or somebody to sit down, mediator, to have the conversation in a constructive and healthy way. And that will make for a much better divorce. I always tell people, you can have your spouse served, and you can start World War III if you want, or we can look at starting the divorce process in a more constructive manner. But we definitely see an uptick in gray divorces. People are living longer. There's medication that helps us be more vibrant in later years. There's all kinds of things happening. And I think, after 40-some years together, if you haven't really been intentional about keeping your marriage together, it's not unusual for it to, you just start living your separate lives. Yeah. Life's short, don't want to continue living this way another day.
Jennifer Hargrave, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
This was fun.